If Jose is not on by then, I'll probably just kick it over to you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So we are live now. GM everyone, and welcome to the Metis Ecosystem Roadshow. I'm your host, Anthony, or Rect on Twitter, and I'm thrilled to be joined by our special guest today, along with my co-host, Patrick from Hercules, for this new exciting weekly live stream. And each week, we're going to be diving into the dApps and protocols that are on the Metis network, and we'll be bringing you the latest developments, exclusive insights, rewards, and behind the scenes looks at all the innovative projects shaping our ecosystem. And for those of you who are new here, let me give you just a really quick rundown. Metis is an Ethereum Layer 2 network that's changing the L2 game up a bit with the first ever decentralized sequencer. And we're all about scalability, security, incentives alignment, and empowerment for all network participants. And we have, like I said, a few guests here. We have, like I said, my co-host, a champion from Patrick from Hercules. We also have Jose from Metis, who was on marketing, who just transitioned to business development and growth. And we also have Vladimir from Algebra. And so today we're going to be hearing from each of them. There's going to be presentations. You're going to get a rundown of Hercules. You're going to get a rundown of the Metis network. You're going to get a rundown of Algebra. We will also be sharing about Galxe campaign that we are all running together along with Steer. So all three of us plus Steer. And there will be a time at the end, a little bit of time if we have any time left. If there's any questions, you may be able to ask in the comments. We are keeping track of those. And if we have time, we'll be able to we'll try to cover as many questions as we can. And lastly, before I pass it over to our first presenter, we each panelist or each presenter will ask a question at the end of the presentation, and if you can answer it, and if you can answer each of them, there will be a prize for a participant. So let's hit the road and kick things off with our first guest. I'm gonna pass it over to you, Jose. How are you doing, bro?
How's it going, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Can you hear me well, Anthony?
Yeah, you're great.
Loud and clear.
Let's go. Let's go. For those who don't know me, I'm Jose. I used to be leading marketing at Metis. Now I'm focusing on the business development and growth area, as Anthony mentioned. So very excited to be here. I've been working very closely with Hercules lately, and we got a lot of interesting things, very exciting things lined up. So not just for this episode, just in general for 2024. So happy to be here. And yeah, let me start presenting, Anthony. One second. So let me know if you can see.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, looks like we're good.
Let's go. So Metis, for those of you who don't know Metis, Metis is an Ethereum layer 2. We are offering the first ever decentralized sequencer, which is enabling truly shared ownership and proper incentive alignment for the network, which we believe is the right combination, the right recipe for really taking this network or layer two idea to the next level. So let's go a little bit into it and introduce what is Metis and what does it mean to have a decentralized sequencer, as Anthony was mentioning earlier. So whenever we think about traditional layer twos, first of all, I'm guessing everyone knows what a layer two is. If not, I'm gonna go super quick and describe it over here. Layered, I think of Ethereum as a main or as the most decentralized and secure private highway in the world, right? So the only problem with this private highway is it's not really efficient during rush hours. There's a lot of people going or coming back to work, going to work, and it's not really an efficient experience per se. So layer twos, in general, represent an external lane, a new external lane that facilitates getting from point A to point B with all of these users. So basically, enhancing the user experience. These still get to take advantage of the security of this highway, the decentralization of this highway, and they get to take advantage of the efficiency that is being brought by layer twos. So it sounds fascinating, but as any other piece of tech, it still has a few drawbacks. One of those being centralized sequencers. Whenever we think about a sequencer, we mean a block producer node. So this is the node that produces blocks and relays them to this most decentralized and secure highway, which is Ethereum. So the sequencer node produces and relays nodes to Ethereum. So why is it important for this block producer node to be decentralized? Well, a few things. A decentralized sequencer or a decentralized node producing, like block producing node, can enhance liveness of the network. As of right now, if you have one single sequencer node and that single sequencer node goes offline, guess what? The network goes offline. So it's not really great if we're trying to onboard traditional businesses, commerces, and retails in general. Like, why would they risk their business continuity or going out of business for a few minutes, hours, days, maybe, just because of trying this new piece of technology, you know? Like if we're really trying to onboard this type of institutions or organizations, we need to provide them with better alternatives than the ones that they already have. So the decentralized sequencer could really ensure that even if one of these nodes go down, the network is not going down. Because even if Metis itself would go down and its nodes, the network would still stay up. Like the organization, maybe the nodes that pertain to the organization may go down, but the sequencer in general, the network in general, would still would keep running. So that's a very interesting concept whenever we think about onboarding, mass adoption, and businesses and retail. We need to provide business continuity, and the decentralized sequencer can help into this. Censorship resistance. Traditionally, if there's one single sequencer and it's organizing transactions, relaying blocks, they could reorder or censor transactions because they have complete control over the network. So we're not saying, and it doesn't mean that they will do it every time or that they will do it at all, but they can. And by implementing this decentralized sequencer, you get to make it more transparent and also make it so that any sequencer that is acting in a malicious way can be replaced and could pay the price. So it's definitely an enhancement from previous setups. And finally, which I consider one of the most important ones, the revenue sharing capabilities. Because traditionally, centralized sequencers get to keep all the network revenue. The main business from Ethereum layer 2s is transactions. By rolling up transactions into Ethereum, they get to keep part of these fees, of these transaction fees, which becomes the revenue, the network. So usually or traditionally, all of this revenue goes to that single sequencer node or to the foundation behind these projects. By decentralizing the sequencer, we are making sure we are being able to properly align incentives so that node operators, dApps or builders, and end users can all benefit from the network's growth and not just one single entity. So definitely a lot of pros from going from a centralized to a decentralized setup. As always, there are some tiny or small drawbacks. One of those being slightly increased latency for a centralized sequencer, but it's that all the pros, like with no doubt, outweigh the cons from going from a centralized setup to a decentralized setup in layer two solutions. Here, this is a section from the website actually, but we can also go a little bit over what are some of these pros. Like by participating in the consensus process, sequencers play an essential role in maintaining a network decentralization, transparency, and stability. With multiple nodes or entities participating in sequencing, it becomes more challenging for malicious actors to control or compromise the order of transactions. This is for the network itself. And for the sequencer nodes have the opportunity to earn Metis tokens. This is a very important part of it. And it comes into play with the revenue sharing part that we were mentioning. Sequencer nodes have the opportunity to earn Metis tokens as reward for their role in block production and transaction processing. So as of right now, during the first year of the decentralized sequencer, there is a fixed 20% APR that is being paid to sequencer nodes in Metis. So it's definitely a very enticing deal to create that initial traction, awareness, and demand for becoming part of this decentralized sequencer setup that we're seeing. And community active participation can increase recognition, of course, within the community, creating possibilities for future collaborations and potential partnerships. So again, get involved in the decentralized sequencer. Here, these are some of the steps that we have taken and that are coming also. So the Metis, like the phase one was the alpha mainnet launch. So this is where we actually originally had or started having more than one node on the producing blocks, but there was still no sequencer mining or there was still no rewards going to the sequencer nodes. On the phase two of this, which happened a little bit over, I think, a month after the first phase, we saw multiple transactions within a block. We saw a transaction pool. You can think of it as a mempool and sequencer mining, which is actually rewards going to the sequencer nodes. This is where we started seeing a lot of traction and a lot of users going to LST platforms like Artemis and like Enki. And the phase three, which is external node operators. Originally, it was we would have LSTs and we would have some other alternatives for users to interact with these nodes, but the node operators would be mainly Metis Foundation. Eventually, we had the Artemis and Enki started operating their own nodes, and now we're bringing more external node operators, which is this phase of expansion that we're currently seeing. And these node operators were already approved through a recent governance proposal that took place in CEG.vote. So, yeah, share network ownership, influential governance roles, and partial withdrawal for sequencer node operators. Our emphasis, this just happened. So partial withdrawals, this just happened. And it doesn't mean that we can partially withdraw our assets. As users, we can withdraw the full amount of Metis that we want. So withdrawals are live, basically. What this means is that the initial 20K Metis that sequencer or node operators need to stake to become a node operator, that can't be withdrawn yet, or through this simple process. But users wise, they can withdraw the full thing. So don't let the partial name fool you. Withdrawals are live, which is extremely beneficial for the staking or the Metis staking spectrum in general. And what is the foundation looking for? Moving on a little bit further from previous points, what is the foundation looking for as of right now? Based on a recent note or write-up shared by one of our founders, Kevin Liu, on our CG.vote forum, the one that I was mentioning before is our Metis governance forum. He was sharing that some of the areas that the foundation will be looking to focus into its meme coins, games like GameFi, real world assets, and on chain societies. So that doesn't mean that we're only or solely focusing on these areas, but this means if you are building anything in any of these four areas, you should absolutely reach out to us and let us know because we're most likely interested and we want to collaborate. And if you are building any other exciting type of products or features or anything that we should know about, feel free to contact me personally or anyone in the organization. Our Metis handle in Twitter or X now is extremely cool and we'll respond to DMs 24/7. And how is Metis planning to achieve some of this? And there's no uh, guru, nothing like we cannot really predict the future, but we believe that with a proper mix of proper incentive alignment through our decentralized sequencer and ecosystem fund, community, which is elemental for any type of activity, especially in crypto, for any type of initiative, product, project, infrastructure, which goes back to our decentralized sequencer or our decentralized setup, and EigenDA, which is coming soon, EigenLayer providing data availability services. Metis is going to use that. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to spill all the beans of things that are coming soon, but a lot of exciting infrastructure changes, grants and incubation, which we have the Metis Ecosystem Development Fund is a 4.5 at this point, 4.5 million Metis, the ecosystem fund, which is focused on funding grants for different ecosystem products and sequencer mining for the decentralized sequencer and any apps or organizations or entities implementing or launching a sequencer node. So just for 2024, there's 250,000 Metis tokens that are allocated solely for grants. So if you're building something exciting, again, just reach out. We definitely want to talk. Sequencer nodes, as I was saying, like we're planning to keep expanding the number of nodes responsibly, of course. The ones we can confirm that all the newly selected nodes that were chosen by the governance process have launched and are working seamlessly, then we can go back to a drawing board and keep expanding the current setup. And partner success, which is Metis is taking now a very partner or DApp builder focused approach in which BD or the business development team is working hand in hand with each of the builders, like working very closely to make sure that each of the products that is launching Metis is not just launching, but will be able to succeed on the network. And not only on the network, will be able to succeed in general, like as a crypto project in the Ethereum space. So I think that would be pretty much it. Some of the exciting stuff that is coming to Metis would be Chainlink CCIP, DeFi kingdoms for those who didn't know, Eigenlayer. Some native protocols include Pumpkin Finance, Aries Finance, Zeno Exchange, Established Protocol. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of exciting things coming to Metis. And yeah, I mean, overall, just get involved, take advantage of it. If there's any doubts, like I said, my DMs are always open 24/7. Jose Fabrega P on X, and the Metis L2 account on X is also extremely friendly. So reach out, ask your questions, get involved. And that's it. Thank you.
Nice work, Jose.
Amazing. Thank you. That was a great presentation. That was a lot of information. So I hope most of y'all were able to digest a lot of it. But if not, you can always follow our Twitter where a lot of this information is shared at MetisL2. You can also hit our website, metis.io. We're always posting articles and blogs about the information that Jose just shared, along with other updates and developments that we also write about. And as Jose said, there's no blueprint for the path that we're on, with the decentralized sequencer being the first layer 2 to start implementing this. Hence why you are at the roadshow. But yeah, so thank you for sharing all that with us. We're gonna pivot over to another
And
protocol.
now,
That's
hold up, Anthony, you're forgetting about a
uh,
very important piece,
the question.
the question.
Yeah, let's go. You got that
So
with us for us?
this is the question that I have. It doesn't really have a right or wrong answer. So there might be different answers from the audience, but there can definitely, I'm definitely looking for the better structured and more uh, logic based answer. So if we go back to this slide, Anthony, let me share screen one more time super quick. If we go back to this slide over here, Anthony, can you see?
No, it's not popping up for me. There it
Oh, it's
goes.
coming.
There it
There it
goes.
is.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if we go back to this slide, what would you say can really lead us to mass adoption from these three alternatives? The enhanced liveness, the fact that the network won't go down and we could onboard businesses or whatnot, the censorship resistance, the fact that you know that all of the information that is being added to the blockchain is not malicious or is being properly handled and you can trust it, or the revenue sharing capabilities that would ensure proper incentive alignment across all different network participants. So, which one would take us or could enable that mass adoption for Metis and why? That is my question. Now you can take it, all yours, Anthony.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for not letting me skip over the question. And yes, please leave that in the comment section. Your answers, and those are going to be reviewed, and there will be rewards at the end for someone. Uh, it's funny in the comments. Someone thought the question you're going to ask is the cats or dogs question, but good thing, good thing it wasn't. So let's kick it over. As I was mentioning, we're going to kick it over to another protocol that's paving the road to Olympia. That is, we have Hercules, which has effectively served as our ecosystem's liquidity layer since its launch a couple months ago. From Hercules, we have Patrick. How are you doing, good sir? Looks like
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me on. I hope everybody's doing well. Thanks, guys, for jumping into the. I almost said Spaces, but it's not a Spaces. It's the YouTube Roadshow. So glad to have you along. If you're watching later, glad you're here. Thanks for dropping in. So yeah, so I'll go through sort of like as a quick introduction to Hercules. I think a lot of folks have probably heard me talk on this an awful lot at this point, so I won't go too deep into it because there's a lot of complexity here. But I'll give you the high level of how Hercules works and why it is attracting so much liquidity on Metis. So as Anthony said, our job really is to be the native liquidity layer on Metis. What does that mean? That means that if you are, our job is if you are looking to make a swap on Metis, we should be offering the most efficient swaps with the deepest liquidity. And how do we achieve that? Well, we offer, a pretty tried and true revenue share program, basically through our Torch token. And that is facilitated, you earn that by LPing with us. And so you gain access to that by participating in the Hercules ecosystem. So if you don't know already, Hercules is a Camelot fork, which is a very successful protocol on Arbitrum. We were the first authorized Camelot fork, which means that we have the Camelot folks as a advisement team. They are able to give us a little support there, which is really, really helpful. One of the things that we kind of talk about a lot with Hercules is, making sure that we're adopting not only, the mechanics of the platform, but also kind of the conservative like emissions, and also that really like hard community first ethos. What does that mean? Like, that means that we are working very hard to establish a good value in the ecosystem as it is, the Hercules ecosystem, so that it is providing like strong returns to users who are dedicated to it. So without getting too much into the weeds, I'll explain a little bit about how Hercules works. So let me jump into the actual app. We'll go over here. I'll make sure that came across okay. Yep, sure did. Fantastic. So Hercules landing page looks like this, pretty straightforward. The most important thing you're gonna, be interacting with most of the time is going to be, selecting your chosen tokens here. If you don't see it on the list, just like any other swap page, you can paste a contract address, and if there's liquidity for it on Hercules, you can swap it here. So we've actually sort of recently updated, so we've got our native aggregator working, which has been a lot smoother for us, which has been very nice. So to kind of go into like how to earn on Hercules, I want to jump over to our earn tab. That's convenient. So we can actually go over to, let's go to pools here. And you can see that there are a variety of pools where you can take your tokens and LP them on Hercules for APRs. So there are kind of a couple things to get into, but I won't get into it too deep. But there are simple ways to LP where you just add the liquidity and you earn the farming rewards. Or I shouldn't say the farming rewards, but you earn the trading rewards, right? But with Hercules, there's actually an additional layer of functionality called the SP NFT. And what that is basically it's a NFT, like a non-fungible token that represents your staked position, right? So you have your LP, you then stake it and wrap it to create an SP NFT. And then with that SP NFT, you can take it and deposit it into one of our Nitro Pools, which is a kind of unique functionality of the Camelot model that allows us to boost your yields, right? Typically, our farming rewards are there. And so when you're looking at Hercules, for example, we have some extremely attractive pairs that are on tokens that a lot of people want to hold. For example, right, we're looking at our wrap Metis and USDC pool that's offering 125% APR right now. And that is through that SPNFT functionality, which is pretty attractive. So to jump back a little bit, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the differences in LPs on Hercules as well. So let's actually go back to the home page here. So if we're looking here, right, we have V3, V2, we have V3 add liquidity, V2 add liquidity. So we'll start with V2 because that is the one that most people are really familiar with. V2 at liquidity is pretty straightforward, right? To create a liquidity pool, you have token A, token B, and they have equal value within the pool. So if you're depositing to a pool, the dollar value, if you will, of each token will be balanced when you add to that pool. That's really great when you are dealing with the, when you're creating the only pool where that asset is traded, for example, like a meme coin, right? If you're, adding a brand new token, you're creating a brand new token, you want it to be, have liquidity in one place, you throw it on the V2, that will allow your token value to trade into infinity and, down to, approaching zero mathematically. But what's really cool and that's a standard. V2 is a standard part of most crypto pools. We've seen it for a long time. What the new hotness is, if you will be the V3 pools. Now these have been around for a little while now, but V3 pools are really, really great for assets that are going to generally trade within a range of values. Meaning like if I have Ethereum and USDC I want to trade, Ethereum is generally going to be within a consensus value because it is in so many liquidity pools, right? So we know that Ethereum is going to stay within a really, really tight range of values. And so what we can do is actually use V3 pools to concentrate the liquidity within a range. So let's, I'll show you really quickly what that looks like. So if we have some Metis and we have some, let's go with pump, sure. We can see here, we've got a range visualizer. So you can see like, okay, well, I expect this token to stay within these ranges. And so when your liquidity is concentrated within those ranges, your tokens are more likely to be selected to facilitate the actual trades. Why is that a big deal? Because the trading fees are actually earned when your tokens are being traded, right? And so by concentrating your liquidity like that, you actually earn more fees, or a higher concentration of fees are routed to you. And so it's a really cool way for people to capture yield while being in those ranges. Now, V3 pools have kind of like their own pluses and minuses. First and foremost, like talk about impermanent loss, right? So when you're concentrating your liquidity like that, you have a higher chance to have or to realize impermanent loss. So what that generally means is sometimes you will end up with the worst performing token of the two. So that's something to be aware of. The other thing that can be tricky is you generally have to manage your own liquidity, because what happens when these tokens, especially volatile ones, go in and out of your trading range, or say if they go outside of the range that you say I want to trade these tokens at, is that your tokens will stop being used for trades entirely. And so what we've done to kind of mitigate that is we've actually partnered with several liquidity managers, and we'll get into that in a later roadshow. But basically, they set those ranges for you. They adjust them as needed. They might even swap tokens occasionally, that sort of thing, and they make sure that you're constantly earning yield. So another thing too, in talking about SPNFTs, specifically for V3 pools, in order to gain access to the V3 Nitro Pools, you need to make sure that you're in a automatically managed pool. The reason for that is you need to make sure that your assets are within range in order to keep qualifying for those rewards. So that is that. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about Torch. So great, you've LP'd into Hercules. You've earned yourself some rewards. What do those rewards look like, right? More often than not, you're going to be getting a reward in Xtorch and Torch. So what can you do with that, right? So first thing you can do, you can go into Yield Booster. Say I am into a pool that I really like and I want to get more of those emissions that I'm super bullish on. You can take some of your Xtorch, you can allocate it here, and you can actually boost your rewards up to 2x on the farm rewards. What does that farm rewards means? That means like tokens that are allocated for users to earn for LPing by either Hercules or the partner protocol. So for example, I know that's very complicated, but for example, if you're earning Torch and say Pump through the Nitro Pool for Pumpkin, you could go to the yield booster, allocate some xTorch, and get up to 2x those emissions. The amount of xTorch you need to allocate in order to qualify for that will change based on how much xTorch is being allocated for it presently, and the amount of rewards that you can earn, that sort of thing. So this number does fluctuate based on what pools you're looking at, but it's generally not a ton. Then we can also go into Launchpad. So Launchpad's an interesting one as well. One of the nice things about being involved with Hercules is that we also facilitate the launch of new tokens. And so when we have that new hot project that's like looking to do a raise, especially in the Metis ecosystem, they will generally approach us, and then we can actually offer, frequently we offer whitelist allocations to xTorch allocators, for these launches, that sort of thing. And those, each raise will be a little different, but we aim to do usually guaranteed amounts or, slightly oversubscribed amounts. So it's the access for xTorch allocators is pretty exclusive and, pretty high in demand. So we're excited to kind of get some more use out of this coming soon. Hint, hint. And then the bread and butter for any DEX, right, is dividends. So, we, by allocating xTorch to our dividends plugin, you can earn a portion of the protocol's revenue, paid out weekly, paid out rolling weekly. So currently offering 66% APR, has been as high as 450%. You can see the rewards currently right now. We're offering xMetis, xTorch, and then also the real yield WMetis and USDC there. And as we facilitate more trades and generate more volume, that all goes, a good portion of that all goes right to this dividends plugin, excuse me. So that's a pretty exciting opportunity, and it's pretty straightforward. You set it and forget it. You go and claim it whenever it's convenient for you, and it just sits there and earns yield, which is super exciting. Cool. A couple things to talk about here. I'll explain a little bit of the difference between Torch and xTorch as well while we're kind of touching on the subject. Torch is the liquid version of the token, meaning that you can trade it in a liquidity pool, on our front end. xTorch is where you get the utility. So it's really critical that if you want to get access to these plugins, that you convert to xTorch. So if we go to dashboard here, this is where you would do that. Torch convert, and then, of course, we have xMetis as a reward that you can redeem here. To talk about this a little bit, there's a vesting mechanism that we use when coming back from xTorch. And this is a little bit gamified, so I won't get into this too much because it's somewhat complicated. But going from xTorch to Torch, again, to get that liquid reward that you can then trade, there's a vesting period of either 15 days, or excuse me, I shouldn't say either, but as little as 15 days up to 6 months. And when you redeem that, the quickest vest offers you a 50% conversion, meaning that if I were to put in 10 xTorch invested at 15 days, I would get 5 liquid torch back. As you scale later in, you will get more liquid torch based on the percentage between those two. So, for example, 6 months you get 100%, 3 months you get 75%, if that makes sense. So that's how that mechanism works there. Again, a little complicated. I would say too, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, their head is swimming and they're like, whoa, this is so much information, it's crazy. We have the best mods in the business. Come to our Discord, come to our Telegram, ask us questions. These guys are super attentive, super on top of things, and extremely friendly. In addition to that, the community is great. So a lot of helping hands there if you are like really swimming. So yeah, that is kind of the quick and dirty spiel. I won't get too much more into the details there because it is a lot. Let me see if there's anything else I need to cover. But yeah, our like I said earlier, our mission really is to develop a truly deep liquidity on Metis. That helps us, as a chain, a ton, because we are able to facilitate trades of size a lot more efficiently, and that can be really, really attractive to a number of traders. Our other job really is to offer a good home for folks who want to earn a strong yield on their LPs and on their tokens. And we're working very hard to do that. I credit our founder an awful lot with the amount of work that he's put into the DEX. If you guys have been paying really close attention, you've seen the number of integrations that we have included post-launch. It's like one a week that we're adding something to the DEX. We're improving it. We're listening to feedback. We are, adding features, all kinds of stuff. And so that will continue, and Hercules will continue to position itself to be a real killer in the space. So I'm really pleased with being able to work with this team. So I'll say that. Cool. So I think that's what I've got. I do have a question for you guys. It's a little bit more on the fun side of things. I hope that's okay. So my question for you all is if you would like to see, I would like to see Hercules have a mascot of some kind that is not just Hercules. So I want you to describe for me in 1 or 2 sentences what a mascot for Hercules might look like. Yeah, so that's my question. So have fun with that. Cool.
Amazing. Thank you, Patrick. I hope I can give my answer. What I was thinking, mascot that from the Hercules movie, the cartoon movie, the little gremlin dude.
Oh yeah, Pelotidis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fun fact, actually, if you're an OG Hercules user, you probably saw us roll out some educational material with a guy named Chiron, who was a satyr, or not a satyr, excuse me, a centaur. And that Chiron is the guy that Philoctetes' character in the movie is kind of really loosely based on. So he was more Hercules' teacher than anybody else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you. Leave your answers or your suggestions in the comment section. Please leave your Telegram handle as well. That way, when we select winners, we can contact you and share the prize. If we can't contact you, it's going to go to whoever has shared the Telegram handle. So thank you again, Patrick. That's what a championship protocol looks like. The next guest we have, well, I should say this is our first actual official guest because this is a Metis and Hercules co-hosted space. So our first official guest, our special guest, is Algebra. And from Algebra, we have Vladimir. How you doing, Vladimir? Good to see you. How are you doing?
Good. Anthony, Patrick, Jose, nice to meet you, and really happy to be here. And it's we are B2B technology, and we're really happy that we have real applications, real users, thanks to Hercules and to Metis. Because without people who build using Algebra, we are nothing. So thank you, Hercules, for choosing us, and hope you like our technology. So today, if you don't mind, I will touch a little bit about DEXs in general, why it's important, and about our technology, what benefits and advantages its comparison with other players. Okay, let me try to share screen. Okay. Window. Yeah. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Can, yep.
So first of all, why DEXs are so important? As Jose told, decentralization is a key factor for all our crypto world, and that's what we want to continue to maintain. And DEXs is only one way how you could trade. Centralized exchange doesn't work. Decentralized exchange works because it's fully permissionless and nobody could control it. So that's why more and more projects and blockchains put so many efforts for the DEXs. At the moment there are 1,000 DEXs created all around the world, and because it's unique business model in crypto, and I believe in the world. So there are 2 big parties. One party is people who provide liquidity and make money by providing liquidity or tokens to the pool, and another part is people who trading. And I personally extremely like this opportunity because it's maybe one of 3 or 4 business ideas when 2 parties benefit from each other. So usually it's like a lot of projects just make an ICO and get money from investors, and that's a business model and so on. So that's great that you could give rewards people from another people who benefits from the group number 1. That's number 1. So it's decentralization, unique business model which could benefit everyone, and also it's extremely important for the projects. It's when you start your own idea, how you could get like your community around, how you could get price of your project. And thanks to the DEXs, you could easily start trading your asset and get your supporters of your projects. So it's we started long time ago in crypto, and you spend huge amount of time to talk to centralized exchange to ask them to list your token. So it could take maybe like 6 months of negotiations. They ask you to pay and so on. Now, if you have a great project, you can go to Hercules, list your token, and then start trading immediately, and you get a price, and you can get a community around this one. And all the protocols could use your token for everyday activities, and all the people around the world could trade your token. So that's, from my perspective, it's so cool that you could get own asset which corresponds to your idea, to your project, offline business, RVA, everything, and this could be done by the DEXs. From our perspective, there are still some problems in the DEX spaces which we try to solve. First of all, as I already told, there are 2 groups. Let me share another screen. Sorry. Okay. There are 2 groups, as already told. Like one who is trading, and they want to get low fees when they trade. So when you come to any blockchain, to any DEX, you want to get almost no price impact, and you want to get low fees for your trade. And people who provide liquidity, it's completely different. So they want to get as much as possible from every trade. And we have developed a unique algorithm called like dynamic fees, or when we try to find golden mean between these 2 parties. So how to find the best fees for both these groups. So we want to attract as much as possible traders to our system, and we want to generate max profit for liquidity providers. That's this idea like we have implemented in our dynamic fees formula. And in Hercules, Camelot, and others DEXs, thanks to this formula, people who provide liquidity to Hercules or to Algebra inside, they get more profits in comparison with old-fashioned DEXs, like Uniswap version 3, like SushiSwap, and many others. So if you want to get max APR, for the most pairs, it's better to use the dynamic fees, because we try to react on what's happening on the market to give you more revenues thanks to the traders, and also attract the traders as much as possible because they generate revenue also. So that's a unique feature which is provided by Algebra. And the second big feature, which is also extremely important, and Patrick already talked about this one, that it's a farming. And just imagine that you are a project and you want to incentivize people to provide liquidity to your pool. But because it's constrained liquidity, it means that every position is unique. For example, like Anthony could put a price range 1, I could another one, and how to measure how much rewards you want to you will get. And we solve this problem by our special farming mechanic. So inside of our engine, we measure your impact on trading. So we don't want to pay to somebody who put your liquidity out of the range, that doesn't have any risk, and just add to the pool. We don't pay to this guy. We just pay to people who provide liquidity, and this liquidity work for the traders. So that's our second big advantage if we talk about Algebra engine inside. So I believe that's mostly it from my side. So just to highlight that Algebra is battle-tested technology with 26 DEXs at the moment. And we have a dynamic fees algorithms which give you more revenue in comparison with all other DEXs. And thanks to our farming mechanic, it also benefits everyone who provides liquidity depending on project rewards. So that's it from my side. So we're happy to answer any questions if they come. Thank you for invitation again.
Awesome. Thank you, Vladimir. Following up, do you have a question for the community?
Let me think. I could ask, so what is your favorite pair for trading for liquidity provision, and what APR you would like to see to provide all your money to this pool? So what is your target APR, and what is your favorite pair for liquidity provision?
I can answer that with mine, and my favorite pair for this question specifically would be USDC and USDT, and I'd like to get like 3,000% APR. That would be
Okay.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think it's achievable. I think it's achievable. So
okay. We will start working on this tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that would be great if you could figure that out.
Okay.
You're gonna change the game with that one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Vladimir. That was a great presentation. Folks, can you share your Twitter or other ways folks can contact you or get involved with Algebra?
Sorry, should I?
Yeah, like your socials or web or anything you want to share that folks can get involved with Algebra.
Yeah, so it's called Algebra Finance. So you can find it on our site, on our Twitter. So everyone, if you are interested in trading mechanics, in new AMM designs, please join us. We have a lot of research, we have a lot of simulations, and our main goal is to develop new ideas in DEX space and provide the solutions to the great DEXs, including Hercules and Camelot. So we are not stopped in our innovation. So we will have our new version very soon called Integral, and more and more DEXs migrate to this one, and it's even more powerful than what we have discussed. So maybe next time there is a next AMA, we will present it to you together with Hercules.
Amazing.
Love a little bit of alpha. That's fun. Awesome.
Yes. So with that completes our presentations with our guest here today. We do have a couple minutes. If there's any questions, folks are here, happy to answer them. Leave them in the chat, please. Until then, as we wait for questions, if there's any, here is an opportunity for us to just let you know that we will be doing this every week. You can catch us here next Wednesday at the same time. We will have a new guest, so be on the lookout on both the Metis and Hercules Twitter pages for announcements and the link to our next live stream. And yeah, I think that wraps it up for us. Patrick, do you have, or Jose or Vladimir, anything y'all want to add before we close out?
Nope. Sentiment that I expressed earlier. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. It's always cool to get to do these. It's always a pleasure to work with you guys, Anthony, Jose, and Vladimir. Thank you so much for coming on.
Likewise, I was going to say thanks everyone for showing up. And in regards to any final words, I would just say, like, as I said, stay up to date, kind of like stay tuned in what's going on in the Metis ecosystem. Like, we have an interesting governance proposal also going out live this week. Besides that, Artemis is going to be enabling withdrawals finally tomorrow. So there's finally withdrawals for sequencer mining and decentralized sequencer. A lot of exciting things happening, and then in the next few months, we're also going to see a lot of very exciting integrations, deployments, and so on. So yeah, stay up to date. And Vladimir, any final words?
Yeah, I'm just feeling really excited what we are doing all together. So because it's we have community which benefit to the whole system. It's like liquidity providers and traders and sequencer and so on. So I don't know any other industries where you could so much contribute together to one ecosystem. So that's amazing. So, and I believe it's achievement. Thanks to everyone, and we're happy to join next time.
Definitely. I echo that sentiment. It's a very exciting space and a very exciting industry and a very exciting things that are happening. A lot of things that are happening in our own ecosystem, like Jose mentioned just this week. Q3 is going to be very fun as well. But that's it. We will be announcing the winners of those who answer the questions and left their Telegram handles. So follow our Twitter page if you're not, at MetisAl2, and be on the lookout. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.